Good morning. Um, so I was just listening to a video by Alan Watts, and I don't even know if the thing that I got to thinking about while he was talking had anything to do with what he was saying, but I was thinking about how I view myself since I've been an adult. I guess because that's where this thought process started. Would be about the time I turned 18. Um, and the fact that I didn't graduate from high school, and for a long time, obviously that presented a kind of stigma in for me and inside myself. To be honest, I don't know if it's really um, affected me economically all that much. I, have been in the army, which at the time did not require a high school diploma. Um, I have learned a skilled trade, which also didn't require a high school diploma, and um, since I've picked up an actual like a certification um, through work experience that had to be proven, uh, which also basically didn't require a high school diploma, and I got to thinking to myself, I'm not obviously not justifying that or whatever, but I didn't like the idea, I guess, when I think about it, of the form of the education. Not necessarily did I have an objection to the knowledge itself. With the exception of algebra, I have like a smooth hatred of algebra. But anyway, I really I enjoyed the learning. I enjoyed the process of going through the learning, but their testing and proving methods back then I didn't care for, and I wasn't interested in, and consequently I just literally wouldn't do things that they would tell me to do, and it caused me a lot of grief in my high school years. Um, the but when I got back to it, like I had a teacher one time in high school who told me, when you stop seeking knowledge, you start to die. And I thought at the time I was biased because I had an idea of knowledge as what was told to me by the educational system, and I didn't care for that. But I didn't want to be ignorant of anything, not even then. And so I I had, at first I took offense to it, but then the statement stayed with me for a very long time, and to the point where I then realized, I was like, that is where I get a lot of enjoyment, is the seeking of knowledge, whether it's trivial knowledge. I love me some trivia, or whether it's applicable knowledge, in terms of I'm in construction, and I happen to be an inspector, so there's lots of knowledges that I have to maintain and have with me up in here, and then there's books of knowledge that I have had to be taught how to access those books, to know which books, which codes that applied to those things. It's not very exciting stuff, but finding something, that needle in the haystack, that code, that specification, is actually quite satisfying. So um you know when I'm seeking knowledge, and in this case, in context of these videos, and it takes 4 minutes to get to this point, I have a level of enjoyment, and so as I was listening to that Alan Watts video um, on that YouTube channel, I started getting into the process of thinking about all of that. And you know at one point I realized that I'm actually um, I have a level of pride. I don't know if it's good or bad in the fact that I didn't graduate from high school, but somehow still managed, because I didn't want to accept their diploma, because on some level, specifics aside, they were just going to try to give it to me. All I had to do was this minimal thing, and I basically dug my feet down in the sand pretty stubbornly and didn't accept it. And so, I consequently, that was the choice that I chose to make. What is that? 29 years ago. And, sorry, I'm bad at math. 32 years ago. So, and I've lived with those, the condition that created for the past 32 years. So, I'm okay with that. Would my life have been easier if I graduated from high school? Honestly, I don't really believe so, because I never went to college or attended anything else, and everything that I have achieved has been through work experience. And I would say, it's hard work, but I don't do anything alone. I've been in construction since 1996. I was in the Army before that. I have never, ever had a job where I am solely responsible and or I solely accept all the blame and all the credit for everything. That's everything I have done has been as a part of a team. And that means that I have been taught by some incredibly talented pipe fitters and welders and welding inspectors and managers. And I have learned some hard lessons from some incredibly inept people. And even if that I'm not totally useless, I can be a bad example. I probably have been that person too. So what that goes to, that awareness. I hopefully that if I'm heading down a bad road where I become totally useless, that I become aware of it and wake up and turn left. But I don't think, I really don't think that my high school career had anything to do with it. Do I think I got a lot of knowledge out of high school? I most certainly think that I got a lot of knowledge out of high school. I had some excellent teachers, even teachers that I failed their classes. I learned how to fail. And I learned how to be successful. There were some classes that I had been failing that I eventually, got around to passing or whatever, but it didn't culminate in a high school diploma. The Army did require that I get a GED, which I took their little test and got that, but I still would not call myself a high school graduate. And I think, here I am at the age of 50, realizing now that I'm okay with that. Thank you.